Where's it going?
I have some worries about where it's going. We teach convergence, and what does that mean? It means a lot of different things. You're seeing convergence of technology, which is part of the delivery aspect of the formula. You're seeing companies converge. In my lifetime, it's been extraordinary to see the number of major labels dwindle to, I think we have 4 now. I can't even tell you that for a fact. It'll probably be 2 in a couple of years, and after that, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be Walmart. Right now, Walmart and I think Target sell 40% of the physical CDs, and that disturbs me. Nothing against Walmart. Well, sure there is, but I'm not going to use this as a bully pulpit to go after poor Sam Walton. But the fact of the matter is, I think it's a scary thing when you have that much content controlled by so few people. And what you will see, you know, I kind of trapped you into asking that question, I think, but what you will see is the possible commoditization of the arts. And there are a lot of people that think that this is favorable, and there are good arguments. I mean, you can read papers, you know, written by reasonably scholarly and knowledgeable people that will espouse the notion of music like water, and that you will pay a utility fee for music. And there are good parts of that, and I recognize that, but there are also some, I think, scary parts to that, too.
Well, I guess the iPod tax is one way to go, right?
Yeah, well, iPod is, you know, this is another one of those situations where you're talking about I think the tail wagging the dog, and it's hard to pin down Steve Jobs, especially recently. And there's been a real, I don't know if what he's actually doing. I take him pretty seriously, though.
Well, I mean, you're talking about he wants to get rid of copy protection, even though he's the biggest user of copy protection.
Yeah, it would work well for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And why don't we have free software while we're at it? And why don't we have free computers and free iPods? I don't know. It's hard to see how far you can take that. I mean, when you've made your fortune off of the notion that that you can have intellectual property, and that has the same value as this or as the land that this university is built upon, and that's for real, it's not an abstraction, that's for real, and your entire business structure is premised on intellectual property, but you say, but wait a minute, it works for patents and maybe trademark, but you know, copyright, I don't think so. I think, you know, the people are entitled to share in this, and that's contrary to the entire legal structure that's set up. All of this is a property right, and you may not be interested in that, but I imagine ultimately you are interested in that, because were it not a property right, you don't have music business, period. Am I going too far afield?
No, this is true.
When you look at the advent of the music business and what you're learning, you know, you go before 1790 and you made a living, if you were lucky, if you worked for the church. And if you didn't work for the church, maybe if you're really lucky, like Mozart, you found somebody who was, you know, crazy enough and rich enough to support your lifestyle. But that was it. And you had no possible property rights in anything that you did. And without those property rights, which come directly from copyright, you have no publishing. And without publishing, you have no music business, at least historically. Obviously, that's changing. And that gets back to your real question, is where is it headed? And I don't know. I think there are good arguments. I think there are good arguments to be made that we might see a commoditization of the arts. I think there are good arguments to be made that copyright itself will no longer be the standard. And a lot of people, some pretty erudite people, have actually said, is the copy aspect of copyright fundamental? And this is really crucial, especially for music. But when you're talking about digital media, and you're talking about something that need not ever be physically held in your hand, it's going to be distributed over the internet, it's going to be performed over the internet, copied over the internet. And are these even copies? I mean, they're so perfect, they're more like a clone. So the notion of copy may not even be relevant anymore. So that's what I guess the business will figure out, and it'll be followed by the law, as has always been the case.
Is, you know, there's a dispute with record companies and artists about iTunes. Is it distribution or is it licensing? Because if it's...
I think it's really only pricing when you get right down to it. I don't think that distribution per se is the problem because, especially with the Apple regime, you're still subject to digital rights management. And when you have digital rights management, which is almost a code word for something evil these days, but when you have digital rights management, there's at least some recognition of there being a property right. So I don't think that there's a complete divorce between the two sides. The problem is, though, that when you control such a tremendous portion of the market, you can keep the prices artificially low. And the thing is, that's what Walmart has been doing as well. So I mean, pick your opponent.